Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Radio Network, and you are watching Star Nations Communications from Home. It's the show that I host usually on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. But this week it is just a little bit different. Some of it has to do with the holidays and trying to fit everything into one month, right? And the other piece is that we have, I think it's like 19 different shows on Star Nations Radio Network. And sometimes we have to move things around to accommodate another host. And I did that to help out Paul Krause for his show because his guest, who was Francine Robbins, she could only be on Tuesday night for the interview. And so, yeah, gladly, I'll switch my show over. And they had a really good show. So you can catch their recorded video on Paul's Facebook page, The Paul Krause Show, or at the main Star Nations page. I believe it's also there. Excuse me. This is kind of unique, I think, because we are in the afternoon. And I'm just going to write a little something here. Welcome to Star Nations Communications from Home. I can spell. And that's what you're watching. So this is the title of the show. Yeah. Hey, hi you guys. Thanks for being with me. And we're gonna hide that. I'm gonna put my name up so everybody knows. We're gonna I don't know. I might leave that holiday wreath thing up there. Kind of looks kind of cool. Excuse me. Hey, Jennifer. I'm going to put your comment up so I can read it. Jennifer says, glad for the time difference between us. I thought it was 3 p.m., but it's 4 p.m. here. I'm finally able to catch a live show. Woohoo! Yay! I'm happy for you, too. I'm happy for us. Jennifer, you point out something really, really important, I think. And that is because the show is on in the afternoon today, there's a whole bunch of people out there that don't necessarily get a chance to catch the evening show, right? And so I think I'm going to introduce myself more than I usually do, okay? Because we might have some new people who are tuning in and maybe would like to know, who is that person? And so I wanted to share with you that my name is Neshi Lokotz, Yvette Neshi Lokotz, and I am the co-founder for Star Nations Organization, LLC. And my home base is in Toma, and my business partner is Denise Iwana Francisco, and her home base is in Lowell, Michigan. And so we recently took our Blog Talk Radio, internet radio shows for Star Nations Radio Network and brought them over to Facebook Live, live streaming through our partners at Be Live TV. And so we brought all 19 shows over, and we started that, I believe it was in October. And so that's how we're able to do this kind of live streaming. And I have to tell you, I really like it. I like it a lot. And so part of the organization itself is not just the radio network, all the shows, but we also publish a monthly magazine called Star Nations Magazine. And we also have Star Nations advisors, and the advisors are primarily people who they're sensitive. They have abilities to help do readings, right? And so we have the advisors, and we also have the academy. And through the academy, we host classes of all different kinds. And you can always visit us at starnations.org. I was going to say www.starnations.org. That's our website. And you can see all of the stuff that we do there. And we're pretty busy usually, a lot of the time. And so not only do I help with the radio shows and the magazine, but I also host the show. And today is kind of special because I actually reached out to our community, Star Nations community, about a month ago. month and a half ago, and met with them through Be Live, through a live stream. And I was asking them, you know, what kind of stuff would you guys like to hear about more in 2018 through the magazine and through the radio shows? And we got a lot of really, really good ideas. And one of the ideas was about totems, animal totems, and that our community would like to hear a little bit more about animal totems. Yay, we can do that, right? And so that's what we're doing today, is we're going to be talking about animal totems and sharing a bit, and hopefully we'll have a conversation going here, right? And so one of the things I'm going to do before we actually get started is I am going to go to the live stream show using my phone. I'm going to like the broadcast, and I'm going to actually share it. And I'm sharing it to our group, our closed group for the Star Nations Radio Network. And that's where a lot of people have joined our closed group, because we get to have all kinds of chit chats there, and they see all kinds of stuff that we're offering to our community, right? And so I'm going to post it there and say that that I'm live streaming. Oops. Oh, sure. Just when you think you can type, right? I'm going to say live streaming. Live streaming right now. And we're going to say join us. There. And so if you could share, I would appreciate it, because, you know, this is a different time frame than we're usually on, and I had to move it not once but twice, and so maybe some people didn't realize that we were moving the show just for today, and you could help out by letting them know, by sharing that the live stream is happening, and that way they can catch us, right? They can be in the live chat with us. Good. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that. All right, so today we're talking about animal totems. And one of the things that I find really interesting about animal totems is because is that there are so many people who have this really deep fascination about the spiritual side of our connection to animals, to nature, right? And you know, we have to realize that our connection to the spiritual side of animals isn't just Native American, because I am Native American. For those of you who don't know, I'm an enrolled member with the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation, and so I am Native American, and I grew up with some of the stuff. I don't want to say all of it, because every tribal nation, and even clans within the nation, they see things differently. They interpret things differently. And so I can't talk for all Native Americans. Number one, I wouldn't want to, because that's one way to get into a lot of trouble. And I don't want trouble. So we're going to talk about totems from my perspective. Okay. And we'll throw a little bit in there from Kenneth Meadows and from Ted Andrews too, because I know a lot of you recognize those names. Ted Andrews, Animal Speaks. His books, I think he had written like 3 or 4. Ted walked on, passed away several years ago, but we still have his books. We still have his knowledge about animals and the spiritual connection to animals. So, from my perspective, animal totems are unique, because to me, an animal totem is what we call the medicine of the animal. It's the spirit of the animal that is connected to you. And from what I was taught and what I really understand really well is that our animal totem, we have a primary animal totem, sometimes more than one, but we have at least one primary animal totem. And that animal totem came in with you at birth. So when I was born, there was an animal who was assigned to me. And when I say animal, I'm talking about the spirit, their characteristics, their medicine. And so that particular that particular totem animal stays with you your entire life. Doesn't change, doesn't go away, never leaves you, always there. It's kind of like, and I'm going to say similar because they're not exactly alike. They're similar to guardian angels. Okay, they have other capabilities that angels might not have, because the animal is actually their characteristics and personality and is connected to the earth. Okay, so they might be in spirit, but they are connected to Grandmother Earth, just like we are. Many times, I think people get confused about an animal totem and a power animal. And in my mind and in my heart, there is the difference between a power animal and an animal totem. An animal totem, like I said, comes in with you at birth and never leaves you, always connected. A power animal can come and go. When you are having an earth experience, right? We call them life lessons. When we're having one of our experiences, we might get a power animal come in to help us with that life experience. And will stay with us until we learn that lesson and that we have integrated that experience through that life lesson. And then they'll go away. And then make room for another power animal to come in to help you with your next life lesson or life experience, right? So for me, that's the difference between the two. The major difference between the two. Now, since they're both spirit and they both have medicine, that's where they're very similar. And that is where we get to tap into their gift that they're giving to us is their characteristics and how they can help us learn that life lesson. And we're going to get into specifics in a minute. So those animal totems, the respect. Once we identify them, it's a relationship that you want to nurture, that you want to get to know them really, really well, because they've been with you from the very beginning. As a small child, we might even remember that particular spirit animal, and be drawn to them automatically. That you have this thing about horses, or you've had it since childhood. You might not even have ever lived on a horse ranch. You might never even been on horseback, but you just love horses. That's telling me that it's a possibility that your animal totem is a horse. Okay, so lots of times we have those kind of memories, and it's not until we're adults and we're consciously walking our spiritual path here on earth that we decide that we want to get to know our animal totems and then our power animals. And so once we identify that connection with your animal totem, your birth totem, that you can do things like hang pictures of them or have them on jewelry, that you read books about them. The best way is to be able to either connect with them in nature, or at like a sanctuary kind of place, and also in dream time and in meditations, is to be able to connect with them and ask them for help, ask them questions, ask them how they see something occurring, what you could use, right, to be able to do that. And so, Jennifer, I'm trying to see your question here. Jennifer, can you have more than one totem animal that's with you since birth? I believe so. I do. I believe so because just like we have different personalities and we have different capabilities, so do they. And when we watch animals, right, a horse is much different than an owl, and they have different traits and they have different medicine. And so I think that we can have more than one that will be with us from the time of our birth until we walk on. And I think that they're part of that. You know, when you get a psychic reading and the reader, the person who's doing the psychic reading for you, you know, a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, you're just surrounded by so many spirits," you know, and they'll talk about the different animals. Sometimes some of those animals are your birth totem, and you can actually ask them to identify which one they are as the birth totem. Of course, you can always do that on your own too, through meditation and through dream time. They can come to you. And you should be meditating with them to get to know them. A lot of times, when I first identified my birth totem, I spent time reading, not necessarily like a Ted Andrews book. What I did was I read the encyclopedia and I read about wildlife and to find out what their characteristics are here on Earth. Because the animal totem, your birth totem, is more like an archetype. It is encompassing all of the owls, okay? Just not one, but all of the characteristics of the owl. Let's say it's a great horned owl. And so you're going to look at the characteristics of them. You want to know what their hunting area is like. You know, where do they hang out? For instance, I know that with the great horned owl, they share the hunting area with the red-tailed hawk. And so the great horned owl hunts at night, and the red-tailed hawk hunts during the day. And they kind of help each other that way. They take care of their hunting territory, right? And so getting to know them on that level I think is really important. Their characteristics. But the best way to get to know them and understand them and know how they can help you is through meditation, shamanic journey, dream time, and that's to get to know them and ask them. You know, like for instance, you might, if your animal totem, your birth totem, is the great horned owl, right? And you're going through a life lesson, and you're thinking, God, you know, I wish I knew how to deal with this better. You could go into meditation and connect with your animal totem and say, how can you help me? Can you help me with this? Because, you know, owls, they're very quiet. They wait and wait and wait until their dinner shows up and they fly in, right, to grab the animal, whether it's a rabbit or some prey animal, right? But they're very silent. They wait very patiently. And there's this thing about owls being wise, right? And but you know, one of the things owls do really well is they see in the dark. They see the things that we don't see. They see the unseen. And so they can help you by seeing a situation with more clarity. Yeah, to see through the dark. They also have silent flight. Their feathers are actually, when you take a look at an owl's feathers, you'll see them kind of jagged on the edge. And that helps them with their silent flight. And so when they go in to get their supper, that supper doesn't even know they're coming. And so maybe you need their ability to be silent and to come in and do what you need to do in a quiet way very quickly. And they can show you how to do that. So they're helping you to understand their characteristics and their medicine so that you can tap into it, into the physical world. Does that make sense? I hope so. I hope so. So I'm just going to check my notes here and make sure I hit the things that I wanted to hit at the beginning here. The archetype, and the thing is that the birth totem can also be many tribal nations. Is not just the totem of the month, the animal that represents that particular month that you were born in, but it also can describe your family. So there is families, clans, a clan totem that you could also have besides your birth totem. So Jennifer, when you're asking if you can have more than one, this is an example of more than one. You can have your own birth totem, the animal that came in with you during your birth, and there's also the family totem, the family that you were born into. And so, for instance, those clan totems may not even be an animal. It's all about nature. It could be anything in nature. For instance, my family clan totem, the Dodum, is the Digwe, and the Digwe are thunders, and so that's my family totem, Dodam, as it said in Potawatomi, and that's the thunders. And my birth totem is about birds, right? And so the month that I was born in December has the animal of the owl as the birth totem. But my Native American name is Beneshiquet, which means bird woman. And my grandfather named me, and that name actually is associated with the Baltimore Oriole. And so I have three that will be with me my entire life. And so that is an example of how you can have more than one. And so so getting to know all three of them. Spent a lot of time with the Oriole, and to me, Oriole is about joyfulness. They have a beautiful song. If you've ever heard an Oriole sing, it just makes you smile, And the Oriole actually shows up here at my house. No matter where I'm living, the Oriole is going to show up. And I remember one very distinctly. It was in 2010, and my dad was, he was having a really tough time. He was about ready to walk on, and he was in the hospital, at the VA hospital, and it was a tough time. Those last 3 months he was alive. And I remember sitting in my living room, and I was going to be going to the VA hospital, and I was just sitting there thinking about Dad and getting ready. Okay, gotta go. And I heard the Oriole singing, because it was in August, I think it was, and I had the windows open. It was in the morning. I could hear the Oriole singing, so I got up to look. And as soon as I got up to look, I looked out my living room windows, and here the Oriole was sitting in a branch in a tree, in a place that I would definitely see it. I couldn't not see it, right? And was singing. And it helped me feel better. And I knew that no matter what happened, there was going to be joy in my life again. Still. And so that is a way that the birth totem can come to you in real life, in 3D, and show up and remind you of the characteristics that's in your life, that medicine that's in your life. Yeah. So that's just one example. So I was going to share with you just a little bit about the Ho-Chunk Nation, because I also have heritage to the Ho-Chunk Nation. My grandmother on my mom's side of the family was full-blooded Ho-Chunk, and so I'm related to a lot of Ho-Chunk families here in Wisconsin. And the Ho-Chunk Nation, their clan system is a little bit different, not vastly different, but a little bit different from the Potawatomi, whereas they have sky clans and earth clans, ground clans, right? And so, and those come into play a lot in ceremonies, especially funerals, where if somebody passes away, they walk on, and they were a sky clan, their family was a sky clan. The spirit clan, there is a spirit clan in the Ho-Chunk Nation. They're the ones who kind of they oversee the ceremony. And so they will select a ground clan, an earth clan, to be responsible for the body. Yeah. So for instance, if you had a thunder clan and that thunder clan passed away, they walked on, the spirit clan is going to select a ground clan or an earth clan to make sure the body gets dressed, and that the ceremonies that are going to happen, that they have the things ready for that particular ceremony, right? And so they might choose the deer clan to take care of the physical body. And the spirit clan is the one who's going to take care of the spirit of the person who walked on. So, you know, that's how the families, the family clans can actually be utilized in ceremonies. That's just an example. And I know that not everybody is Native American, but that is a way that we use the characteristics of the clan animal or the clan nature, right? Yeah. Okay, so here's one that not everybody realizes. How do I say this? There are the animals the birth totems that are representing a given month, right? And those animals are not selected from a book. Our ancestors, and I'm talking about before European contact, which is more than 500 years, we lived our lives 100% connected to nature. We didn't see ourselves separate from it. And so in their given area where they lived is where they noticed the animals in certain times of the year doing certain things, right? And so that's how an animal might be associated with a particular month. And it really is based on region, because the Potawatomi, we're from the East Coast, really, okay? And so regionally, we might put the wolf in the West, okay? And that would be like October-ish, October. Whereas the Lakota Nation, which is out in the Great Plains, different region, they might put, I don't know, maybe the buffalo. I don't even know which direction they might put that in the north, but or the horse might be put in the west. Okay, so you can see that the animal that would be symbolic or put into that particular month is really about their environment, where they live. Okay, so it's not everything is written in stone. Not everything that you find in a book is going to be the same all the way across all of Turtle Island. It's going to be different, and it's going to be regional. So you really want to pay attention to where you live and what you see in the morning at daybreak when the sun's coming up, What animals are active then? What animals are active in December or January, and that might be the animal that in your area that would represent that particular month, right? And the reason I say this is because there is this there is this trend to utilize the totems, animal totems, like the zodiac, which is it's an easy way to explain it for sure, that it's like the zodiac, but it's not necessarily so so exact that it's going to be the same all the way across the board. Like, you know, every Sagittarian, because that's me, every Sagittarian between November 21st and December 21st are going to be Sagittarians, no matter where you live, no matter what part of the world you live in, right? So when you're talking about animal totems and where you would place them on the medicine wheel in a particular given month is not going to be the same from region to region. It's not. And so that's why it's important for you to be able to connect with your birth totem through meditation or through journey work. If you have a practitioner who might be able to help you with that, they could help you with that to identify it, that particular animal. So it's very unique to you. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to share that particular animal totem with another person. You know, there's going to be another person out there that has an owl totem or another person who has an Oriole totem. Okay? Yeah. I hope this is making sense because sometimes it gets confusing. And as you notice, I haven't even talked about power animals yet because I don't want you to get confused between the two. We are going to talk about power animals just a little bit, just so that you get an idea about that. You know, there is a question that I would like to ask everybody for you guys to kind of consider this. Why is it important? Why would you want to know your birth totem or your clan totem? Why would that be important to you? Now, not everybody is going to want to know that kind of information, and that's okay. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of people who would really like to know their birth totem or their family totem. And what I'm asking you to ask yourself is, why is that important to you? Because that's going to help you understand your connection to your birth totem. Because that birth totem has been with you your entire life. You might not even have realized it until here you are in your 30s or your 40s, and you're thinking, I would really like to know my birth totem. And that's good, but why do you want to know? Because once you know, it is going to change your life. Because that medicine you're going to be tapping into in a very conscious way. A very conscious way. And so there is going to be some life changes and some life adjustments. And it can be positive. It can be very, very positive. The negative part is when there's a characteristic about them that you don't want to be a part of. And there it is. You can't pick and choose. You can't pick cherries on it. You get the whole medicine. You don't just get bits and pieces of it. And so, and some people, you know, they'd rather not look at the more negative side of a situation. But let me tell you, owl is not exactly an easy totem to live with. I know. Being Native American, having an owl totem as your birth totem isn't exactly easy because the Potawatomi and Ho-Chunk share this one belief, and that is that the owl is a messenger of death. And so if an owl crosses your path, or you hear one hooting, or you're dreaming about them, that means somebody's going to die. Okay. And so here you are. You have a totem, a totem of an owl. And so you have to find a way to be able to not be afraid of it and to embrace its positive aspects and understand why that belief system even came about, and helps you understand that. Helps you understand an aspect of yourself too. Because maybe you're just a really honest person and you don't have a lot of filters. And so you end up saying something, being the messenger for something that affects people, and you don't always notice that it affects them in a way that maybe isn't always positive. A lot of people can't take the truth. They'd rather have you hedge around it a little bit and put it to them very mildly, and not really bluntly, right? So maybe that's it. Who knows? But it's up to you to find out. It's up to you to get to know and to connect with that particular medicine. If that is your totem is an owl, and all of them are that way. Not just owls. All of them are that way. They all have a very, very positive aspect, and there's also aspects about them that is not very positive. If you have a horse for a totem, animal totem, birth totem, horses, represent freedom, but they also have the ability to bite. And, so there's aspects of them that are a part of you. And so that's a part of you to get to know and find out how you can best utilize it in a positive way. And what happens when it does come up? How do you master that? How do you balance it out? How do you use it in a way that is constructive rather than destructive, right? That's part of our walk here, learning all of that. So you really do need to get to know them. And once you make that decision, it's kind of like you put the ball into motion, and it's going to keep rolling. And the animal totem is going to come to you whether you're ready for it or not, because you made the decision that you want to know. And you're going to, it could show up in a dream. You could start seeing the totem in the world. I mean, when you're driving to work, when you're taking a walk, you could be someplace and somebody's going to be talking about starting up a conversation, or you hear part of a conversation and they start talking about your birth totem, and there you are. And so the birth totem is coming to you, right? Yeah. All right. Let's see. Check the time here. All right. We got about 20 minutes, not quite. Check my notes, make sure I got that part done, because we're going to talk about power animals a little bit too. All right. So, yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't we talk about power animals right now? The power animals, we hear a lot about power animals. And, in our community, we have decks of cards that talk about power animals. We have books about talking about power animals, and people wanting to know, what their power animal is, and there's power animal jealousy. You might have a mouse for a power animal, but you really wanted was an eagle, right? And so it happens. There's some people who feel like the mouse isn't exactly, a very powerful animal to have as a power animal, but they're all good, all of them. And so a power animal is an animal that presents itself to you to assist you in a life lesson and an experience. Gotta take a drink. They're going to appear to you. They might show themselves to you quite often. It's like the red-tailed hawk, right? For a while there, years ago, no matter where I went, there were red-tailed hawks flying in the air. There are red-tailed hawks sitting on branches as I'm driving by, and not just one, but multiples and multiples and multiples. And so you can't ignore them because there they are everywhere. And so, basically you say, okay, see them 3 times, got to take stock with this. What's going on, right? And so for me, I not only meditate on them and with them, but let's say that red-tailed hawk, what I would do is I would just, if I had the radio on in the car, I'd turn the radio down or off, and I would get into my heart, feel some love going on, right? And I would connect to the hawk. I would say something like, thank you for coming to me, red-tailed hawk. I appreciate it. I see you. I see you. Do you have a message for me? Do you have a message for me? And then I just listen, because I'm more clairaudient than anything else. And so I just listen. Sometimes the message would come right away, and other times I'd have to wait. And then it was like, okay, can you help me understand that? So I get a real clear picture. I truly understand what this is about. And then I wait some more. And that red-tailed hawk helped me to understand, during that time frame, I was working for the state of Wisconsin, and that I needed to take stock in where I was headed. And it wasn't working for the state of Wisconsin, writing letters and state statute and all that good stuff. It was more about working with spirit. And so that was, the red-tailed hawk helped me through that time frame. And once I was through that, and I left the state of Wisconsin, I didn't see the red-tailed hawk nearly as much. I never dreamt about them nearly as much. The red-tailed hawk moved on. And so that is a power animal. And sometimes our power animal will leave us because we're not utilizing them. We're not paying attention to them. We're not asking them for help. We're not seeing them. We're not respecting them. They will leave until you're ready to say, okay, I guess I need your help. And sometimes you need a practitioner to help you to locate them and to bring them back. So that's called a power animal retrieval for some shamanic circles. That's what they call that. And so, if you need help, there's help out there for that. But you can also do it for yourself. You can go into meditation, and you can seek them on your own and ask them to please come back, to join you again and to help you. Maybe you even have to apologize. It's like, sorry, I guess I wasn't ready, but I'm ready now. And when you have a power animal coming into your life and you're consciously aware of them, now those are definitely going to be times of life changing. They're going to affect your life very, very much. They will. Their medicine will be very evident to you, and it'll be evident to other people too. For instance, I was in a class. Hey, Meg, how are you doing? Good to see you in the house. Thanks for being here. I was in a class one time, and oh Lord, we were doing I was just checking the comments here. We were doing a meditation, and we were meeting power animals, and it happened to be at Great Lakes Retreat. For those people who are in Michigan, you're familiar with Great Lakes Retreat, right? And doing a meditation to work with your power animal. And that whole week, I had people telling me, "Did you see that? Did you see that?" You know, and it looked like a wolf. Well, I was teaching a class besides, and I knew that wolf was with me during that time frame, and as a power animal, and a big, huge wolf, huge. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, in that particular class, didn't even really get. I had just closed my eyes, and I could see the wolf, this huge wolf, across the room from me, and you know, we're being guided to connect with the wolf, and the wolf comes running straight at me. Now, I've had dogs all my life, right? So I know when you have when your dog is playing with you and they're getting rambunctious, you know, I know that you have to make yourself a smaller target. And so I turned myself to the side, and even before I could get myself spiritually turned, so it wasn't broad, the wolf jumped into me, and um, seeing in meditation, seeing through the eyes of the wolf, hearing with the ears of a wolf. They have very keen hearing. They have very keen olfactory. The scents are magnified, right? And so that was the connection to the wolf, and I carried wolf inside me physically for the rest of that day, that evening, and into the morning. So that's the connection, and it changed. Let me tell you, you can't not be aware of a huge wolf jumping inside you spiritually. There's an impact. Didn't hurt me, but it was some pretty big energy. Now, wolf also came when it first came to me, because wolf had been walking with me for a while. I was driving between Toma and a town called Wisconsin Rapids, which is about an hour away east of here, and I have to drive through a federal preserve, and there's thousands of acres there that is all natural, right? And this particular highway cuts through the center of it. And it was early morning. My dad was still alive at the time, and I was heading over there to help them with something. I don't remember what it was, but it was pretty early in the morning. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was driving through this preserve, and just me on the road, nobody behind me, nobody in front of me. There's this wolf that stepped out of the woods onto the shoulder of the road, across the road from me, not in the lane I was driving in, but in the opposite lane. And I'm heading east, he starts heading west. And I'm slowing down because I'm thinking he's going to cross the road, and I didn't want to hit him. And so I am going putt, 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 right? We make eye contact with a wild wolf, and literally feeling that energy. And he was looking right at me, right? And we're turning our heads and watching each other as I'm driving by, and he's kind of at a lope, and he's going right by me, and to the point where I actually literally stopped so I could turn around and watch him. And he got not very far from me, and he went back into the woods. So I start driving again, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm trying to connect with him, and I'm feeling that connection with the eyes, right? And he just, when I asked him, thanked him for coming to me, and asked him if they had a message for me or what was the purpose. And he said, and this was at the very beginning of Wolf helping me with a life lesson. He said, "I'm here to help you, to show you how you can." It's at that lope, the long legs, the lope, and to be able to see and hear, and they're really good at hiding. Number one, camouflage, because they hunt at dusk and at dawn. and you don't even see them. And he came to me in bright sunlight, right? And so that was my introduction to that particular power animal. And he was with me for several years until I completed what I was meant to complete. And I was working, really seriously working on ascension stuff at the time. And so that his medicine was here to help me with that particular life lesson, that experience, how to teach ascension stuff. And so that's a power animal. Okay. And same thing, if you want to know your power animals, then you have to ask yourself why. Why? Because this is going to change your life. It's going to impact your life because you're on the path to a life lesson that is going to be helping you. In fact, I found a picture. Here's this picture. I'm going to give it a solo. Because I actually had two wolves helping me, a male and a female. And this picture actually kind of reminds me of them when they were with me. Yeah, I like it. Makes me smile when I found it and I thought, oh, there you are. I kind of miss you. All right. That's wolf medicine. Wolf medicine. So, make sure you ask yourselves that question. And you can meditate on it. You can ask them about it, your connection. You can, if you don't know what your power animals are, who they are, you can go into meditation and you can ask them to come to you and to show themselves to you. You can do that multiple times because we have multiple power animals that help us. All right, let's see. Let's see, totems and the rest of them. I'm just reading a comment here. Make sure I get them. This is the comment section is a little different in Be Live than what I'm used to. It's been a little time since I produced. All right, so power animals. You can identify them through meditation. You can ask them to come to you. You can identify them through dreams. You can program your dream before you fall asleep. You can ask them, I really, really want to get to know you. Who are you? Please come to me. And then watch your dreams and journal them. Journal them because they'll come to you. If you want help through a practitioner, I would identify a shamanic practitioner, somebody who can journey with you, for you, and have them identify a power animal or power animals that are there to help you, and they can do that for you. If you have one that's gone MIA, missing in action, a shamanic practitioner can do a retrieval for you and bring them back to you, and be the emissary or the negotiator, the mediator between the two of you, and to get your relationship back on track. Now I'm just checking my notes. Okay, so in my belief, in my worldview, the power animal and also the animal totem, your birth totem, they select you. You don't select it. Okay? Because I know that there's some people who might think, oh, you know what? I really want to have panther medicine or jaguar medicine. And so I am going to connect with jaguar and have them come into my life and help me. That's not a power animal. A power animal is going to come to you. Soul to soul, you already know each other and what they're going to be there to help you with. They already know. And so when you're set to step onto that path, on that life lesson, they're going to show up and they're going to be there for you. It's not that you have to go out and select one. It's not like going to the store and saying, I'll have one jaguar and I'll have one parakeet. And no, that's not how it happens. They're going to come to you And how they come to you is important too. When they come to you in dreams, really take a look at, that's why you're going to journal the dream, because every aspect is going to be very important. If they come to you in the physical world, you want to take note of time of day. What month was it? Where was it? Were you in the car? Were you out on a walk? If it's a bird, was it flying? Was it on a branch? Was it on the ground? You want to take in all of that, because it's all going to make a difference when you start learning how to work together. Okay. All right. Check the time. I must be close on the time. Yeah, got 5 minutes. All right. So when you find your birth totem and your power animals, and I said you spend some time to get to know each other, study them out in nature, read about them. Don't just read spiritual books about them. I mean, they're good books, but don't rely just on that. Go to the conservation books, the conservation sites, and get to know the animal as it lives on Earth. Now, here I'm going to show this book. This is Earth Medicine by Kenneth Meadows, and I'll get that typed into the chat after the show, so you have the name and the author. Kenneth is actually from England, and he did. I think he did a really good job in explaining the medicine wheel from a perspective where it covers a lot of different belief systems. Okay, and kind of in a zodiac kind of way. And so they have, the birth, if you can see that on the cover, right? And it's a very helpful book. It really is. You can tell I've used it lots and lots, and I've actually kind of broke the spine, unfortunately. I've had it a long time. And then there's also Animal Speak by Ted Andrews. This one is a little washed out because I had it out on the porch, Four Seasons porch, and so it's by Ted Andrews. He's since walked on, but it's still a very good book for information. And so try to get to know them, study them. They know all about you already. It's your physical, mental self that gets to know them and how you're going to be working together. Okay. So I'm hoping that that this was helpful. It's kind of basic stuff. It wasn't advanced work by any stretch, but it's basic stuff that I think that everybody just needs to remember, one, and two, if you've never even heard the information before, it's a place to start. It's a place to start. Our animal totems, our power animals, are all around us. They're within us. They're a part of us. And we have, in Native America, there is a belief system that kind of runs through all the nations, and in their own languages. And in Potawatomi, it's Yage Nagonan. Yage Nagonan is all my relatives. And it's the belief that we are all interconnected, that we're all related, that we all come from one source, whether you call it creator, the great mystery, or God or goddess. We come from one creator, all of us. And so we're all interconnected. And so our relatives, our animal relatives, our nature relatives, they're always there to help us, always. And all we have to do is remember to ask them for the help. You might kind of say that sometimes we just have to do a 911 call to our animal totem or our power animal and ask them for help, call for help. Much like our guardian angels, they're not going to step in. Our angels, they're not going to step in to make things different or easier for us if we're not learning our lessons, right? They're not good. Our animal totems, our power animals, aren't going to step in to give us any information unless we ask them for it, because it's not their life that's being lived here on earth, it's ours. And so when we turn to them for that kind of assistance, they're going to answer our call and they're going to be there for us. We just have to ask. So with that, thank you for joining me this afternoon on a special day and a special time for Star Nation's Communications from Home, where we talked about animal totems. What I'd like to do is wish you all a very blessed winter solstice, summer solstice if you're in the southern hemisphere. That's coming up tomorrow. And I hope you have a really wonderful, wonderful time planned to recognize the energy of the solstice. And I'd like to wish those who enjoy Christmas a very Merry Christmas and family time and getting together. So Merry Christmas. And also a belated Happy Hanukkah. That just finished up recently, like a day or two ago. So Happy Hanukkah. I hope you guys had those of you who celebrate Hanukkah, that you had a joyful, peaceful Hanukkah, eating all that really good food. I have Sharon Rosenblum, a good friend of mine, has been sharing Hanukkah recipes on Facebook, and let me tell you, those look good. And also for those who enjoy Kwanzaa, I wish you a joyful Kwanzaa. Right? And with that, have a good rest of Wednesday. Enjoy your Wednesday evening, and we'll see you again next week for Star Nation's Communications from Home. And hang on, I'm going to tell you what we're going to be talking about next week. I just have to get my notes. And get my notes up here. On notes, I have too many notes. Here we go. There we go. So next week is a replay, December 26th, Tuesday. And what we're going to do is I have a very special recorded show for when we were with Internet Radio. And it's a life review. It's a show that I did about reviewing your life. And it's a good time to do that around Christmas and New Year's. So with that, enjoy your holiday and be safe, okay? We'll see you soon. Bama Mina, Potawatomi, for until we see each other again. Good afternoon, everybody.